Thanks for joining us. I'm Paula Ebben with a WBZ News update. Our top stories: state police say a tractor trailer hit and killed a man who was walking on the Mass Pike in Framingham. Sky was over the scene in the eastbound lanes. This is mile marker 111 between the Route 9 ramps. It appears the truck involved stopped and stayed at the scene. At this point, we don't know why that man was walking on the pike. State police say there will be delays as troopers investigate. This week marks 20 years since the body of Molly Bish was found in western Massachusetts. Molly was a 16-year-old lifeguard at Commons Pond in Warren before she disappeared. Bish was last seen by her mother after being dropped off at work June 27, 2000. Her remains were then found 3 years later in a wooded area in Palmer, just miles from the place where she went missing. The Worcester County District Attorney's Office used DNA to name Frank Sumner Sr. as a suspect in Molly's disappearance and murder. He was a convicted sex offender, well known to law enforcement. Sumner died in 2016, but the investigation's ongoing. The DA's office is asking anyone who might know anything to reach out to them. Well, if you're sensitive to air quality or have any breathing-related issues, you might want to spend most of today indoors. Massachusetts environmental officials have put out an alert about the air quality today up until midnight. It's all because of a band of smoke from wildfires in Quebec, sending smoky air thick with fine particles our way. In Natick, that translates to hazy skies over Lake Cochituate. Experts say the people who need to be most concerned are those with asthma, the elderly, young children, people with lung disease or heart disease. Let's get a check on the next weather forecast now with Zack to see how long this is going to last.
This is going to be the warmest day of the work week, but you may not really be able to enjoy it. We would typically have sunshine to move us into the low 70s, but we've got smoke across the area, and with it an air quality alert that's going to last all the way until midnight, and it's for everyone in southern New England. The reason that it's more of an air quality issue now in comparison to what we saw with the Nova Scotia wildfires, or say the wildfires last month from the western side of Canada, this plume is draining in a little bit closer to home. It's actually coming from Ontario, and with it you see there's a kind of light gray slate scene here. That is going to be a little closer to the surface, so it's not held well up in the atmosphere. We'll actually be able to breathe it in. You may be able to smell it as we move through the afternoon hours, and that deep plume is going to keep a pretty good grip right through about sunset, and then eventually you see this shaded area of red. It'll start sweeping off to the south and east as a front is going to move through, sort of dispersing the aerosols, and again early tomorrow morning most of that consideration is out of the way. Despite the haze, we're still back into the upper 60s and low 70s, and in fact we may have a few more hours of warming when all is said and done. Relatively calm winds, so again comfortable for most, but we do anticipate a few isolated thunderstorms. You don't see a lot of activity popping up, but if you can just trace it out with me from Rutland, Vermont over towards the Schenectady area, this is kind of making the diagonal right through eastern New York. This eventually will be sweeping through the Commonwealth, so the first to see it will likely be over into Worcester County. Southern New Hampshire may be included in there too. Essex County, not as much of a conversation for you guys, but we're still kind of in a 50-50 shot once we go to the southeastern side of the state. The coverage doesn't seem all that impressive, so this is more of the haves and the have-nots. Some cities and towns may pick up a quick downpour, and then others are going to be completely dry. You do notice though it starts to wane as we make our way into the late afternoon and evening, so not as much fanfare once we pass sunset. I think this model is actually overselling the rain chances that are going along the North Shore and into Cape Ann. So again, not verbatim. We're just going to be more in the scattered potential once we go through the rest of our afternoon. Wednesday, Thursday, isolated to stray cases, both afternoons expected to be between the mid and upper 60s. Friday, possibly a little more widespread. We're still a day or two away from kind of fine-tuning that wave, but we're still holding on to at least unsettled conditions through the end of the week. With any luck, Friday night is going to give us a little window of opportunity, and by Saturday, we're taking that 40% to the morning hours. The afternoon will hopefully start drying things out. I know there are weddings, graduations were typically for last weekend, but if you have any additional parties this upcoming Saturday, we're going to keep a close eye for you on that as well. Here's the best news: is we're staying on the cooler path Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We will get a boost as we make our way into Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is going to be the cooler of the two, but again, that's relative. We're into the low 70s, so more typical or seasonable that afternoon. Closer to 80 degrees and maybe a beach day on tap. Water temperatures have actually slipped a few degrees in the last week due to the cooler air around, but Sunday is going to be hosting a little more sunshine, and that's going to be the warm spot for the entire 7-day.
I'm Paula Ebben. This has been a WBZ News Update.